Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal News Show. Joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good start and end to your week. You've made it once again to Friday. It means the weekend's tomorrow. Happy days. It means the World Cup starts as well this weekend. So football galore will be underway for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing some of Arsenal's players, fingers crossed, maintain fitness. Gets a nice confidence-boosting performance in and then returning to the club unscathed and ready for the second half. Well, more than the second half, but we're calling it basically the second half, even though there's more games after the World Cup than there is before it. But it feels as though we are seeing two halves of a Premier League season with this massive gap and break, if you will, in between. But I hope you're doing good. Hope you're well, people. Joining us live in the chat box as well. Good morning to Matt G, to Tony, to Red Star, to James. Good morning, guys. Blackshine, Timmy, Olu, Paul, Aidan, and Barwick. Good morning. Johan, we've got Josh, we've got Paul and Amira and Stevie and Louis. Good morning to Marcus and Harrison, and Carl and Lynn and everybody else joining us well in the chat box. Thank you, Matt, for your very kind donation. Congrats on the award, Tom. Well deserved, even if it only for the dedication to the 8, even if only for the dedication to the 8 a.m. shows. Thanks, mate. Really, I appreciate that. Means a lot that everybody, including yourself, tune in so much and so often. Matt has been one of our longest serving early risers, that's for sure. So thank you, as always, for helping with the channel. We really, really appreciate it. Okay, let's crack on. And by telling you, first of all, of course, to go and have a look at the latest prize, I can tell you that the Thierry Henry signed shirt has just 54 tickets left. There still remains 5 days till the competition ends. That will probably be curtailed much sooner than it suggests. You can still get your hands on this shirt if you enter. Just over 50 tickets left, as I say. There's chances to win a signed Bergkamp, signed Ljungberg, signed Vieira shirts, as well as instant win prizes. A potential to win the very elusive Arsenal away kit from this season. An Arsene Wenger signed and framed Arsenal photo montage, and lots of credits for football prizes as well. So make sure you get involved if you haven't done so already. Now, Bukayo Saka has joined what is called the Big Shoe, which is to help 120 children in Nigeria with life-changing operations, and a really amazing piece of philanthropy from Saka, and showing, of course, his heart very much outside of the game and what he's interested in helping with. And I wanted to raise this up because it's a fantastic cause, and a very massive thank you to Bukayo Saka for doing work like this to help make differences in places that need it. So Bukayo Saka there with some fantastic news. Arsenal's game against Barca looks as though it's collapsed, according to Mundo Deportivo, that claim that actually Arsenal will look more likely to be playing Juventus now on the 17th of December at the Emirates Stadium. Barca are said to be looking at potential other alternatives. What this does mean is, of course, we will see Dusan Vlahovic at the Emirates, which is maybe something we weren't expecting to see not so long ago. Maybe we were expecting to see it a lot sooner, when, of course, we were linked very heavily with him last January. But Dusan Vlahovic, if he is indeed knocked out of the World Cup with Serbia early on, could then be called up for the squads that would play Arsenal at the Emirates on the 17th of December. One for you all to keep an eye on, I'm sure, and one that will be very interesting indeed. Let's move to Cedric Suarez, who is being linked with a number of clubs in a potential January exit. Fulham, Bayer Leverkusen, and Villarreal are all said to be interested in signing Cedric on a permanent deal in the winter transfer window. He is a player that is very much on the fringes of things, has struggled to get regular game time, and Arteta has been pretty reluctant to use Cedric at all during this season. In fact, he returned from injury quite some time ago, and he's only got himself a few appearances so far this season from the bench mainly. He came off the bench against Wolverhampton instead of Kieran Tierney, but there is a suspicion that Tierney may have been ill. That's why Cedric came off the bench instead. But a move away from Arsenal still seems slightly unlikely because of the long-term contract, and maybe Arsenal would ask for a decent figure to sell him. But there are clubs on the lookout to try and bring in the Portuguese international between now and the end of that winter transfer window. Cristiano Ronaldo revealed in the extended interview with that journalist, which is a loose term, about talking about the exclusive kind of talk about Manchester United, and all of the criticisms of the club, that he wants Arsenal to win the title. He says if it isn't United, which he kind of says with a smirk, knowing that Man United have quite literally no chance of ever claiming the title this season, that he would love it to be Arsenal, which has, of course, sparked a big discussion around whether or not he's indeed trying to flirt with a potential move to the Gunners. And I think with a player like Ronaldo and the personality that he's shown and what he's been talking about, shows that we should be going absolutely nowhere near him. I kind of struggle when I see anyone seriously suggesting that Arsenal should be interested in taking Cristiano Ronaldo. We have worked, and rather Arteta has worked, so hard to remove disruptive characters and personalities from the dressing room so that we've got a unified and collaborative dressing room. And adding Ronaldo in would be like a Aubameyang times a million in terms of this disruption that would cause, and just the ridiculous kind of nature of it all. He doesn't start for us right now. Gabriel Jesus is certainly playing up top, and if it was ever going to be a player to come and remove that and then use that theory of bottlenecking a team, that's exactly what Ronaldo would do, and it would just make no sense to add into the side whatsoever. So really, are you really looking at Ronaldo, people? Are we really thinking that's sensible? Because it isn't. That's what I can tell you. And our headline story of the day is that Arsenal being linked with Toulouse midfielder Fares Chaibi, who is a 19-year-old central midfielder, an interesting player. He's a French midfielder, but has played with the Algerian youth team, growing up through the ranks there. Where he will play at a senior international level is yet to be seen. But as I say, has been called up before to the under-23 squad for Algeria. He has played mainly in kind of more offensive midfield positions for Toulouse. It's a bit of a strange one. It's not like the links to Ibrahim Bamba in Portugal or Danilo in Brazil. He's played attacking midfield. He's played on the right. He's played on the left. He's played in the middle. This would be someone, I think, to provide you that versatility in a forward line. Very versatile player, probably yet to be specialised. Definitely not a Lokonga replacement MVR because he plays further up the field. But I look to him as a potential signing. I don't think he's a signing that would probably impact our January business too greatly. I think he's a bit of a bonus if Arsenal would look to bring him in, a bit of an investment on a young player, not the senior type competitive move. We may even loan him out if, say, Arsenal were able to get him in January as well to get him that regular game time. But he's a player that Arsenal seem to like and will be looking to potentially invest in as one for the future. But he's not a player that I don't feel would come in and have any significant impact on a title run. That said, if he does come in, I hope that he does, because we want all the help that we can get in the potential for Arsenal to try and compete for any potential title this season. And that brings an end to part one, but it doesn't bring an end to you finding out more information about a fantastic VPN service such as NordVPN. You can, of course, go to nordvpn.com/Gooner to find out all the information on what NordVPN can provide you with, which is, of course, all the safety and security online that you could ask for, keeping rid of those pesky little trackers that like to find out what you've been doing on the internet, and of course give yourself a massive discount on a potential subscription, including 4 months free of that deal. And if you aren't in favor of the service after trying it, you can get a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. That's nordvpn.com/Gooner to get involved with what is proving to be a very popular sponsor of the channel. I see plenty of people in the chat box have been looking forward to seeing how I might do this one. I'll be honest. This wasn't my best. This wasn't my best at all. I keep finding that what I'm saying is I'm bringing an end to part one, and then we go into the sponsor, and then go to part two. I'm letting my game slip, and I need to improve on that. So I promise you tomorrow's show will be bringing you a much smoother transition to the world of NordVPN. But it does not make any sense to undersell what is a fantastic service that you can find out even more about by, as I say, going to nordvpn.com/Gooner. Let's go to part two. Okay, let's go to part two and your questions. Has says, what will your work schedule look like during the World Cup? Good question. It's not changing all that wildly. There are some times where I'm working around certain games, such as the France game I'm working in a couple of weeks' time, focusing specifically on William Saliba and what he might get on with. We're kind of being posted around games from an Arsenal point of view where there are Arsenal players or potential Arsenal transfer targets focused on, just to kind of find out what on earth they've been getting up to and what they're providing during the tournament. And then other than that, it's just the normal shifts, looking at and finding out information on transfers and reporting on any Arsenal news that comes up. I know that we are going to be out. I'm not going to be, but certainly FL are going to be out in Dubai representing the FL side of things and covering Arsenal's trip to Dubai. And we're bringing you live updates and information of all the friendlies that go on out there in the Dubai Cup as well. So that's all to come too. Look forward to hopefully getting some information about how the club is getting on down there and what they're doing ultimately to improve things as well. So I look forward to bringing you all of the updates from an Arsenal perspective on Arsenal and their trip to Dubai, and of course how the players and our potential transfer targets are doing in the World Cup. AJ Boy says, question, Tom, do you think Arteta will use Matt Smith? Would be more useful than potentially using Sambi Lokonga? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with him being more useful than Sambi Lokonga, because I doubt many people have seen Matt Smith play besides using the streams of the under-21s. He isn't more useful than Sambi Lokonga. Sambi Lokonga is of a higher level than Matt Smith. It's funny how quickly we become disillusioned with starters and senior level players and would rather see youth players used instead of them because it's just something different. In reality, it's far, far, far too risky to throw a youth player in instead of a senior operative. So I don't think that will happen. That said, talking about Matt Smith, he is still very highly rated. The club do like him and has impressed for the youth side this season, but I actually kind of expect him to go out on loan in the second half of the campaign. Christopher says, which team are you most excited to watch at the World Cup? I think Denmark, because I really want to see Jesper Lindström play. I've not watched too much of him in the Bundesliga, but I hear so many good things. I speak to people that have watched him and they rave about him and they tell me all about him. So I'm looking forward to seeing Denmark and Jesper Lindström play in the tournament as well. Amira says, do you think Smith Rowe's return would benefit Kieran Tierney more than we think? They link up better compared to Tierney and Martinelli due to the space that they occupy on the pitch. I think that Smith Rowe's return is going to be beneficial for a number of reasons. I'm going to be writing a piece a little bit later on today about kind of where he's going to bring that positivity and strength and depth to the team. But Kieran Tierney's relationship with him is, as you say, better than what he finds himself with Martinelli. Maybe that's something that we might change for the future. We'll have to wait and see. Matty says, Tom, would you consider dropping a merch line? I haven't done merch before. Actually, I was really meant to highlight my Goodly Morning mug that arrived yesterday. I will certainly be doing that on tomorrow's show. If you haven't yet got yourself a Goodly Morning Arsecast mug, you should, because all of the proceeds go to Great Ormond Street Hospital. You can find out more if you listen to the Arsecast. But I haven't done merch, haven't looked into it. The only thing I ever consider doing, I think, is doing I wear black t-shirts all the time. So having that and the Arsenal cannon, well, the TGT cannon on the front would be quite nice, but I haven't ever really looked into doing it at all. Lynn says, Tom, when watching you and Dan last night, you said that Danilo could be a possibility. Who else would you say could come in, as Edu has mentioned 3 players? Has Edu mentioned 3 players? I must have missed the interview if he did. I think that there is a great chance of Arsenal signing 2 players this January window. Danilo, I think, there's a great chance that he could be indeed one of them. And the other one, I think, will be a forward player, whether that's Mudryk, Torres, Gakpo. Somebody who's going to add versatility and firepower to the forward line is who Arsenal are looking to try and target. But I couldn't tell you who exactly the most likely forward player to come in is, because I think they are keeping their options open. Even though Mudryk is the loudest one right now, it's a very, very difficult one to do. Vanaju says, thoughts on Ivan Toney? Has he effectively blown his chances of a move to a big club? Yes, this follows the news of Ivan Toney's betting breaches in the rules of betting, basically. I had a few people tweet me after this news came out saying, see, you were right about Ivan Toney. Now, I have said I'm not particularly a big fan of Ivan Toney on a personal level. It wasn't to do with this. I didn't know this was a thing. It was to do with some of the comments he's made about his current club whilst out and about in public. But I really find it staggering that there are people out there that are trying to justify this still. it seems as though there's never going to be a situation where someone does something that's wrong or against the rules and somebody doesn't go, but is it really that bad? Should this guy lose his career? I don't want him to lose his career, but I certainly think he should face the relevant punishes that other players have had to face. You think about Kieran Trippier, who's, he lost so much of his career because he was involved in a betting situation where he basically, I think it was a WhatsApp conversation with a friend where his friend asked him if he should bet on him moving to Atletico Madrid. I think I saw a text conversation circulate on social media that showed that with Ivan Toney putting in 200 plus bets, there's going to be fallout from that. There is absolutely going to be fallout from that. What that fallout will be, we'll have to wait and see. But you'd imagine it have to be a ban or a suspension in some way. Surely we'll have to wait and see. Let's go to Phil. Says, hey, mate, just wanted to congratulate you on the other night. Really cool to see you getting recognition, going up against some big YouTube content creators. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate that. And I massively appreciate everybody that did vote for us in the football contest. I just need to now put it up on the wall. I need to work out where this is going to go. I suppose I don't really want to replace that one. I don't really want to get rid of my portals thing because that's quite personal. So I don't know where it's going to go. It's going to have to go that's not straight. That's awful. Let's try and change that. There we go. For those listening on audio, it was a terribly crooked vinyl sitting on the wall there. I don't know where it's going to go. We'll have to find somewhere to put it. Shane says, would you let Cedric leave in January, or is there a suspicion he's more important in the dressing room? Not for me. I would let him go. I don't think the impact on the dressing room is enough to keep hold of Cedric. I think that we can promote Rule Waters into the senior side for the second half of the campaign. I don't think that Cedric is enough of an important player for us to be worried about letting him go. Mohammed says, Tom, how early do you see us bringing in whoever will be going for this January? With the long break, I'm really hoping we do all the negotiations now so that we can have them in the first week of January. Ultimately, I think there's two pathways to this. I think that we know with the World Cup going on, the players that aren't going to the World Cup, like Danilo, like Mudryk, Arsenal can put in some extra work that maybe they wouldn't have had the time for if the Premier League was still going on. That said, the club are always trying to improve on things and trying to plan things well ahead of time. They did it in the summer. It still meant that going into the summer that they had a lot of work to do with the Gabriel Jesus deal, and they had to wait until the end of the season to really kind of push harder with that deal. And I imagine that's the same case with January. You've also got a situation where some deals will only happen towards the end of the window because other opportunities open up. Some players are found replacements for by their club, and so they can then move on. It's always going to take some more time than people thinking, well, on January 1st, we'll bring in all the players because we've had to put in the work to get those players done. That's not just how it works. There's so many other moving parts to a transfer that they can't all just get done on the 1st of January. This isn't a video game. This is real life. And ultimately, it does take time to get these deals done. I'm hopeful that we can get them done early, but I'm realistic that it might take a little bit of time still before we start getting those first players through the door. But I'm hopeful. I really am. Ray Beam says, Tom, you need to drop a drum and bass album for TGT. You overestimate my ability to create music. You really, really do. Lynn says, Tom, is it me or has there been more conversations re Ronaldo than on the World Cup? If so, that says how disinterested fans are in the World Cup. Yeah, it also says how interested fans are in drama, which obviously we see on a daily basis. Sanyik says, hi, Tom. General question. Can I buy a 1920 home shirt from anywhere? Like the minimal design very much. Probably somewhere, surely. Just Google it. I mean, I'm sure somewhere is selling it somewhere, somehow. But I couldn't give you any specific tips, I'm afraid, at all. When's the next date with Clive, says Isaac. Me and Clive enjoyed a very nice breakfast yesterday morning. Very good indeed, before getting the train home. I'm endeavouring to try and bring a podcast over this winter period with Clive and trying to get the classic TGT panel that we've had rejoin the, I like to call it the Arsenal Avengers panel of Clive, Arsblog and Kev Campbell. I'm going to try my best to try and bring that to you. But all three are very, very busy people. And so hopefully we can get them together again, because it was great when we done it the last couple of times. We did those podcasts. So I'm going to see if we can get another one done over the World Cup. NVR says, Tom, have you been watching any of the Ziganov clips? No, I haven't. And also what's happened with Facundo Torres. Gone very, very quiet on the Facundo Torres one. That is just one of those links, I think, that crops up and is kind of like big for a bit and then just dies away. Will probably crop up again a little bit later on. These things go in cycles, so I imagine that we will see something regarding Facundo Torres. So there you go. Let's go to Robert says, it's a sign. Take the record off. That's your space for the award. I can't take this off. This is one of the best albums that I've got on vinyl, which is Foles' brand new album, Life Is Yours, has to be on there. Contains a song from my wedding in the album. No way that's coming off. No way at all. Esmond says, hi, Tom, and everyone in the chat. Who do you think are the 3 favourite teams to win the World Cup? France, Brazil, and Argentina are my 3 favourites for the competition. Michael says, good morning from South America. Congratulations on the award. It's 4:19 a.m. right now. Wow, that is dedication. That is very much dedication. Matt G says, do you think the club are able to progress or extend the players' contracts, Saka, Saliba, and Martinelli, while they're at the World Cup? Probably not, to be honest. Not at all. And I think that what we will see is those contracts will take more focus in the second half of the campaign. I don't think I'm worried about Martinelli at all. I don't have any concern about that. I have a tiny one about Saka, but that's only just, natural doubt. I think it will be very, very fine. I think he will certainly improve his deal. Saliba is the big one. Saliba is the one that I think if you can renew William Saliba's contract, then that is a significant step in the right direction for Arsenal and a massive statement for the club to do as well. Let's go to Nav, who says, I'm going to get a Goodly Morning mug soon. I've heard all about it on his show. Absolutely. You've got to get yourself a Goodly Morning mug. It's the perfect Christmas gift for yourself if you want to get one. Fuad says, watch the FIFA Netflix doc series. It's probably one of the most frustrating documentaries I've seen. I still need to finish it. I've watched the first episode. You can just tell it's going to be a proper frustration watching it. And it kind of shows you how powerless, we really are as fans. Even from a journalistic standpoint, Jurgen Klopp was talking about how journalists should have done more to kind of stop this from happening, and we should have done more. And I've had conversations on Twitter about this Qatar World Cup, both nice and not particularly nice conversations about this World Cup. And some of the people raised the good points of, we should have been saying more about when it was awarded rather than saying things now. And I say that there's that old saying of, the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. And I think that it's about still raising the things that should be raised about it. But then you've got the whole conflict of, wherever you hold a World Cup, there is something that you can relate potentially to the country that it's being hosted in. There's something. So how do you draw the line? It's a very, very important conversation. It's very difficult to complete in the right way. Akaka says, hi, Tom. Question, apart from Mudryk, which wide forward would you like to take on in January? Would you take Rashford? And then who is this Fares Chaibi? Well, Fares Chaibi is a very young, versatile, attacking midfielder style player. Mudryk, in terms of him, apart from him, I think I look to someone like Cody Gakpo, Ferran Torres. These are the types of players that I'd be looking to. Jesper Lindstrom. All of these players have to be looked at. Rashford, I just don't see Arsenal going to as high of a level that Man United would be asking for Rashford. And wages as well are going to be significant too to try and sign him. Let's go to Christian, who says, obviously Arsenal would already have set their sights on some players that are not in the World Cup. Do you think it will be a chance for some that are at the World Cup? I said yesterday on Dan's show, and you can go and watch that on the 12th Man podcast that I did yesterday with Dan, I would be surprised if the World Cup had a significant impact on the type of player that Arsenal are looking to sign or the specific player that Arsenal are looking to sign. So I don't particularly foresee us, jumping at the chance of signing one of the stars of the World Cup. I don't know that for certain, and things can change very, very quickly, but I don't know if that would change anything. World Citizen says, morning, Tom. I know you want us to sign a wide forward that can play forward, centre forward, but don't you think we really need a natural goal scorer / poacher to complement Jesus' work and creativity? Yes, we do. I think we do, but I don't think it's one that we will sign or should sign in January. The likelihood is Arsenal are probably only going to invest in 2 players. And so if they're going to invest in 2 players, we want to maximise the coverage across the pitch that those 2 players can bring quality too. That's why I like Danilo, because I think he can play and compete for that number 6 role with Partey. Well, in the future, he can certainly compete, but he can competitively cover that position. And I think he can offer something in Xhaka's role to play with Partey instead of Partey. And the other forward position, a wide forward that can play in the middle as well, that covers multiple areas of the field, whereas a specific natural striker is, I think, a job for the summer, unless, of course, we can bring back Folarin Balogun successfully and maybe send Eddie Nketiah out on loan. Dragan says, are Man City still pushed as favourites just because of Erling Haaland, Newcastle and Arsenal are scoring a lot and have a great defence as well. While City are gettable defensively, Trippier has been man of the match in 11 of 15 games. That's crazy, isn't it? And we were linked to Trippier, and a lot of people kind of just scoffed at that. I was more open to the idea of Trippier coming to Arsenal when we were linked to. I think it would have offered us something in the final third. But I'm very happy with Ben White now. Very happy indeed. But I would start Trippier for England in a right wing-back role and Ben White in a right-sided centre-back role. But in terms of our City gettable, are they still favourites? I think they're still favourites in most people's minds because just the animal that club are. But certainly they are gettable. And I think if Arsenal are going to win the league, we are going to have to ultimately, you're going to have to win one of those two games. You're going to have to win one of the two games against City or draw both. You cannot afford to lose more than you win in the two games against City. If we do lose one, we're going to have to win the other. If we lose both, I think that would turn things around far too much for Arsenal to be able to deal with. But we'll wait and see when that game does indeed come around. Christopher says, Tom, what do you think? If the war stops in Ukraine, then Ukraine gets a World Cup in the future? Ukraine have got a lot of talent, of course. And I think a lot of talent coming through. Mudryk is just the kind of the tip of the iceberg of some of the players that are coming through in Ukraine. And obviously, we wish for a resolution to the conflict. Matty says, Tom, have the Cronkies given us a war chest in January? How much does the Edu and co have to spend? We ultimately don't know, and no one will know in the public eye how much is available for the club to spend this January. I'm never a big favour of the war chest amount kind of articles. I wouldn't be personally looking to find out because I don't know whether the club would ever release that information accurately. In terms of how much is going to be available, I am confident that they will bring plans that and certainly potential. I think the potential to spend a lot of money in the summer has maybe been brought forward somewhat to January because they recognise the opportunities that are available to Arsenal this season. And I think that we might see Arsenal spend more than they have ever done in a January window. But we'll have to wait and see ultimately because we don't know what players are going to be accessible, what players that are going to be able to be signed, and how much money the club has to spend. So the honest answer is we don't know. We don't know how much money there is, and no one knows. Oki says, what's the latest on Charlie Patino in terms of his development, Tom? Is he showing the right signs to be a first-team player? Yes, he is. He's doing very, very well. We'll bring you more updates on Charlie Patino just as soon as we've collected all of the data and information from our experts and we do our loan report show, which is coming up in the next couple of weeks or so. So, yes, he's doing very well, and I think he will be part of the first-team setup next season. Mohammed says, you can't sign anyone based on their World Cup form. Many times players have had wonderful World Cups but failed to deliver. Remember Barca and Andre Gomez. Not just him, there's been loads. James Rodriguez is, I think, another example of a player that had a great World Cup, never managed to live up to the expectations that he brought during that time. There has been a Jagoev at Russia I talked about in another show previously. There are there are lots of opportunities to show players and examples that haven't worked out. Arsenal will have planned for targets for a long time. I'd be shocked if a specific performance of a player at the World Cup certainly started to change minds. What I expect to happen is that a player will start doing well at the World Cup, and in these morning shows, people will start saying, what do we think about this guy? Should we sign this guy? It is what it is. I come to expect it these days. We jump on bandwagons all the time, and I expect that will probably happen during the World Cup. Ansa says, Tom, have you watched the João Gomez of Flamengo? He is class, very similar to Gimenez in style, tough tackler and great on the ball. I haven't, but I'll add him to my list, which is growing very much by the day. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I'm sorry that I can't answer every single question and comment. It's a very, very busy chat box. But thank you so much to everybody that has tuned in. Do drop a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. I will be back this evening, 6 p.m. UK time. We've got a Bringing You a Special Members podcast. I've got a lot of members from the Discord server coming on over the course of a 90-minute show. Should be a lot of fun to talk about the January transfer window in even more detail and depth. Transfers galore, World Cup chats, and overall Arsenal conversations. Looking forward to it very much so. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy your Friday, and I will see you this afternoon. And as always, up the Arsenal.